Good evening, good morning, and good night. Welcome to Inappropriate Radio. It's your host. Let's get into this. So, hi guys. I hope all is well. I'm just gonna get right into this. First of all, I'm looking, and like I told you guys, I don't usually go through or listen to any of what I record unless the creator tells me to do so. Usually when he tells me to do so, it's because he wants me to hear something to get another download from it or to correct myself, okay? No periodic table talk, no alien talk tonight. I'm actually frustrated because the segment from last night did not upload, and now I am looking, and this is about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 segments that are just sitting in the queue that have not properly uploaded. I'm pretty frustrated about it. I'm pretty upset, but we're gonna keep going, okay? So, remember I told you guys about this cluster of downloads that I had gotten over the course of like Tuesday coming into Wednesday, right? Like literally overnight. It like started in the day, transitioned over into my sleep. When I woke up, I was just getting downloads. And as the day progressed, they started becoming more heavy and like not urgent, but just like dense, right? The energy of the download, I would say, was a little more dense. It's usually like a more airy, light feeling, just something like the creator's like, okay, this is what I want you to talk about or focus on or research, whatever, right? Yesterday was actually, and I'm thinking this is part of the reason why the creator did not allow yesterday's segment to upload, because actually yesterday was supposed to be about I just think I chose wrong through all of the downloads that he had given me. Maybe not, I don't know, but I do know that there was a cluster, and yesterday, before I had started doing the research on yesterday's segment, which was about suggestive spells, right? It is a type of witchcraft, word magic, where people use words and place suggestions, particularly into your ear gates, to stop you dead in your tracks at that moment, right? It's not usually for like longevity, and we just talked about how like those little small suggestions can lead to big disruptions, okay? Hopefully it'll upload. If it doesn't, I'm just gonna have to re-record it because that topic is very important. So I need to first ask the creator, like, is that him stopping the message, or I'm not sure. I have to get with him. I didn't even realize that it didn't upload until just a few moments ago, like before I started to record. Now, we have been going over history since the beginning of this podcast. Spirituality is basically attached to history, right? We can't really have spirituality without history. There's no way. It's not possible, all right? However, there are different histories, right? Everyone has their own story. No one has the same journey, path, or understanding of spirituality, even though there may be like some fundamentals. As you start to navigate that, you will start to come up with your own understanding and style of spirituality. This is not to be confused with religion, okay? Religion is more system-based, right? It's more organized. Spirituality is a little more chaotic, and it's more suited and custom, I would say, okay? there are several reasons for that. We're not really going to get into that right now because it's going to take us off topic. But we talked about different superstitions, right? And we talked about how a lot of these different superstitions are connected to different cultures and time periods, and how those cultures and time periods are intertwined, and how there are many telltale signs that are left behind to allow us to even speculate that some cultures were just connected, right? In some way or another, whether someone hijacked the culture, whether they traded information, whether they just decided to settle together, however that goes, right? There was some type of transaction, or if there wasn't, right, then this would allude to the idea that the Christ consciousness or the higher level thinking of spirituality has always existed, right? Now, when you start to look at different concepts and ideations that are associated with the beliefs of different cultures, you have to wonder, like, where did it originate? Why is it that these different groups that appear or obviously are in 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or just totally different geographic locations, totally different ideas of life, totally different outlooks, totally different experiences, circumstances, everything is different. So why is it that we have different cultures who have eerily similar beliefs? Now, whistling, okay? Whistling and whistling indoors has so many different negative connotations associated with it. Now, of course, you can Google this stuff. You can look it up and Google. You can go on YouTube. You can, scout. I like to always ask the elders, if you have access to an elder and they are willing to divulge anything from their perspective, from their time period, from earlier timelines anyway, from their own personal experiences, you are very lucky to have access to that resource. I'm just going to say that. I'm going to say appreciate it and take good advantage of it anyway, as long as you have it, like while you have it, okay? The elders are always the number one go-to, and we talked about that before a while ago. But the gist here of this conversation is to pretty much focus on whistling indoors. I'm not really sure why the creator wanted to get into this. So I can start with my childhood, right? My grandmother who raised me, I always talk about this, how I have my mom's side, right? Her father's side, and then her mother's side, right? So we all have 4 grandmas and 4 grandpas, right? We have the 2 parents from our mother and the 2 parents from our father and their parents. And that is something we just went over recently about, having these 4 bloodlines to fight for and how to balance them out and trying to figure out how they're all connected. Okay, right? Now, with this whistling indoors, okay, so many different cultures have connected it to poverty, luring in the devil, luring or responding to something that may be getting your attention. So if something is trying to get your attention and you whistle, that can be you adhering to that thing, whatever it may be. A lot of different things came up about going out into the night. So nothing really came out or came up rather about being outside in the daytime whistling, right? Majority of the research that I had came across, and I didn't do a lot of research, by the way. This was just a couple of swipes on Google, and I just kept it moving because I wasn't exactly sure what the creator wanted me to do, and he did not nudge me to move forward. And then he reminded me that we talked about all these different superstitions, and I don't even think we brought up whistling in that segment. I literally don't believe we mentioned. I don't think we mentioned a lot, but I believe that as I'm sitting here just thinking why the creator would want to highlight that, I'm not sure if this is someone who's listening who has talked about it and he's trying to build a connection between me and a listener. I don't know if someone has sent me a smoke signal and the creator allowed me to get it. So now I am just talking about it. I don't know. I'm doing what the creator asked. Okay? What he told me to do. Not what he asked, but what he instructed me to do. Okay? So in reality, my childhood, I was always taught not to whistle in the house. Now, my childhood home was a funeral home. It used to be a funeral home, okay? So that within itself, if you could understand being a spiritual kid and then living in a place that literally houses the vessels of passed on, spirits, and we don't have any idea if these spirits are dwelling there, if they are lingering, in the vicinity, whatever. But in a nutshell, a lot of different cultures connect this to poverty and the devil. So I would say, because my grandmother always told us not to whistle in the house, daytime or nighttime, as a kid, I used to always think, okay, grandma said don't do this. Maybe because superstition doesn't really have like a cause or a root. And I think that's the whole point. Like the root and the cause, we need to start really digging for things a little bit more. But all in all, I used to assume that it meant that, I started to actually believe this when I got a little older, that it was kind of like wasting the breath that God has given you, right? So God gives us life. He gives us the gift of breath. We breathe every day. Without it, we're, right? So I used to think that, like, I want to say like maybe around 7 or 8, maybe 9, somewhere between 7 and 9, because I used to always whistle and I used to always get in trouble for it. So I've been here my whole life to stop whistling in the house, right? So, and music was very fundamental in the house. Music was a very big thing in my grandma's house. So that's another thing, right? So I would say, between 7 and 9, I would assume that it was a waste of God's breath. Like God has given you, life, and you're wasting it. Like you're catcalling into the universe. Like, what are you doing? So I think the takeaway here is to, again, like we discussed on the superstition topic, to get to the origin of things, to do your own research, to get to the root of things, to really know and understand why something exists. Like, do your own research and follow your own perspective and understanding of that thing, because what people are saying these things might or might not be could be totally the opposite. It could be the complete opposite. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying it could be different from the truth. And it would behoove you to do your own research on these things. Okay? So, yeah, that part. So just look up whistling in the house and see how it relates to you. If you sent me that smoke signal, I got it. Oh, all right. But I'm going to end here. I do love y'all. I hope all is well. I hope y'all have been drinking your water, eating your fruit and vegetables, and sipping on your own tea, because it is definitely free. And I'm out here. Love y'all. Peace.